Hello, folks, and welcome to NL Now. I'm your host, Gary Weaselton, and I'm the co-host, Lawrence Moody. Now, tonight I do have a co-host because Mr. Moody's old friends are on the show this evening, and he wanted to interview them and listen to them perform. Why don't you introduce them, Lawrence?
Sure thing, Gare. And now, two of Newfoundland's finest guitar players, Sandy Morris and Gordon Quinton.
With us now in the NL Now interview chair is Kelly from Party Animals. And thanks for coming in today to chat with us.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
So how did you first become interested in making balloon animals?
Well, about 2 years ago, I was at a craft fair and I seen Paul Shepard from Balloons and Bow Ties. And he made this really cool balloon octopus with curly legs and big eyeballs. And I thought, I'm going to order some balloons and figure out how to make that.
So what is one of the hardest projects you've had to make with your balloons?
About 3 or 4 months ago, I decided to take on the project of making a balloon dress, completely out of balloons. It took about 8 hours to make, so it was a long project. I didn't take any breaks while I was making it, and there was a lot of twisting involved.
So what kind of balloons did you use for the dress?
Well, there's a special kind of balloon that's used for entertainers. They're a professional grade twisting balloon. They're really super durable, so not like the stuff that you get at a dollar store or Walmart. But the ones that I used were called 160s. That means that they're 1 inch thick and 60 inches round, and they're woven together to make the dress.
So how do you blow up the balloons? Is it just a regular balloon pump, or is it some special?
Well, when I first started, I used a little hand pump about this long that I paid $3 for. And I used it for a long, long time. And then I upgraded to this pump. It's a filbert, and it blows up a balloon in one stroke. So you can actually put your balloon on here and pull it up and inflate it like that.
Interesting. So, I hear you did some balloons for the Kids Expo, and you made those animal balloon column things.
Yeah, I did. I made a really big giraffe. Some of the balloon animals were as high as like 15 feet tall. The kids really loved them. Yeah, they were a lot of fun.
Now, besides party animals with balloons, I also hear you do a couple other things with party animals. Could you tell our viewers about those?
Yeah, some of the things that we do at Party Animals, on top of the balloon decorations and the balloon twisting, is we also have mascots. So we've got a Pikachu that works for us. He likes to come down sometimes and party with the kids. And we've also got a minion. Gru lets us borrow him too, so he comes down and hangs out a bit. And we've also got a 1957 Chevy Bel Air wedding car that we use to transport brides back and forth to weddings, so they really like that.
So, what is one of the fastest things you can make with your balloons?
A balloon dog would probably be the fastest. Yeah. That's the really easiest one. But one of my favorite ones to make is a penguin, because it only takes a couple of minutes, but it's really impressive. People are usually really impressed by the penguin.
So do you ever often run out of supplies for balloon animals, or do you carry lots of supplies with you?
I carry lots of supplies right now in this balloon bag that I've got here with me today. There's about 3,000 balloons in it, which, will usually last me a weekend before I've got to stock it up. And I usually place orders of about anywhere between $500 to $700 worth of balloons every time I order now.
So how many balloons do you get for that $500 or $700?
Quite a few, several thousand for sure. I order a lot of different balloons now too, like big helium balloons and ribbons and stuff that go with the balloons. So I'm constantly ordering different things, and usually I'll get a big case of balloons in the mail every couple of weeks for sure.
So what is your most popular balloon animal design that people ask for?
Every time I go to an event, it's always a different kind of balloon that people want. Usually if kids will see other kids going around with something, that balloon will automatically become the most popular. So whoever is the trendsetter first thing in the morning, that's usually the most popular one, but octopus is pretty high up there.
So do your balloons ever, sometimes just, randomly pop when you don't expect it? Like, if you're making a balloon and then, you lay it down for a second, then it just pops?
Yeah, sometimes it'll pop in my hand and give me a big fright. You'd think after 2 years of popping balloons that I'd be used to it, but I'm still not used to it.
Okay, well, now we're going to play a little game I like to call Get to Know Me. I'll ask you 5 questions, and you'll come back with the first thing that pops into your head.
Sure.
Favorite food?
Macaroni.
Favorite movie?
Armageddon.
Favorite TV show?
Newfoundland Now is getting up there now, so.
Favorite song to sing out loud to when you're alone in the car?
I really like the song Steal My Sunshine.
And your favorite color to use when you're making balloons?
My favorite color balloon is teal.
Okay, well, thanks again for coming in. But before you go, we are going to take a selfie. So if you could just hold up the selfie stick that's right there on the side of the chair. Yep, right there.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. You can just hold it up, and that'll be fine. Okay, perfect. Let's go. Well, then, thanks again for coming in. Now, before you go, we do have some balloons in the chair over there. If we could get the camera to go over there and look at some of those balloons.
Sure. Okay, this one is our Scooby Doo. He's made with all different size balloons. So these thick ones here are 3 inches thick, and these ones here in the middle are 6 inches thick, so they're a lot harder to inflate. I got to use this pump quite a few times to blow up one that size. There's all different balloons that was used in making him. About I think there was about 20 balloons that went into making Scooby Doo. And over here, we have a balloon Gary. It's hard to make your shape Gary because we don't have any plaid balloons.
Yes, well, if you make balloons out there, get on making plaid balloons. I'll buy them.
I'll let the supplier know.
Yes.
I even gave him a little tie like you.
Okay, well, thanks again for coming in, Kelly.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, but stay right there because we will be right back. Welcome back to the show, folks. Here we are again with Sandy Morris and Gordon Quinton. Thanks again for coming in today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So can you tell us where you guys purchased your first guitar?
My first guitar was a gift from my parents for my 15th birthday, and I don't know where they got it, but it was a really, really bad guitar. But obviously I learned on it, so it wasn't that bad. But it was very high action and very hard, difficult to form a chord on. My first professional guitar I bought at O'Brien's, no, at Hutton's Music Store on Water Street, and it was a Gibson J50, very similar to what Gordon is playing there today.
Yeah. My first guitar was one I ordered from the catalog way back. I grew up in Windsor, Newfoundland, and we used to order things from the catalog, so I saved my money. I think I was about 12 years old, and I got a guitar. It was called a Palm Beach, and same as Sandy's story, it was very high action, hard to play, but I loved it, and I managed to learn some chords on it. And then later on, a friend of mine had a Harmony Sovereign guitar, which was a quite well-known brand in those days, and had a nice deep sound, so that was my first good guitar, after that.
I'd like to have a Harmony Sovereign even today.
Yeah, they were good
guitars.
I sold mine after. I should have kept it. It had a deep, rich tone,
Yep.
So, after your first guitars, when did you start, actually thinking about doing music professionally?
Well, I went to university in September of 1965, and I had already been playing guitar for a couple of years. And I just started getting all these offers of work, like CBC radio and television, and concerts and clubs. And 3 years later, I left university because I was so busy playing guitar that I didn't have time to really be studying. I always thought I'd go back and finish my university degree when the work slacked off, but it really hasn't. So, Gordon?
Yeah, when I came to after high school, we moved to St. John's, and my father died when I was 9 years old, so we finished school and moved to St. John's, and I went to trades college, and some of the kids there were into playing bands and stuff, forming bands. So they had a group, so I started playing guitar, electric guitar in a band, and we were doing all kinds of Beatle tunes and Rolling Stones and that kind of thing. And then after that, I got into some folk music and started doing music more or less full time, so that it sort of took its own path, I guess.
Yeah, nobody planned on being a musician for a living back in those days.
No, we just thought it was playing.
Yeah, that's right.
So now with new websites on the internet and stuff, so you can look up step by step how to play songs. So what was the process back a long time ago when you had to learn a new song?
I call it the school of needle drops, because you'd have a record player and you'd take the needle and you'd place it on the part of the song that you were trying to learn, and you do that over and over and over again. There were no guitar teachers that I knew of when I started to play, and there was no music school, and there was certainly no internet. In fact, we didn't even have television when I was young.
That's true. Yeah. Same with me. When I was playing, I learned from some people in town.
Yeah.
Knew some music and played in bands, so I used to watch them and learn what they were doing. And then I think I had a chord book and figured some chords out. But mostly it was on your own terms. You learn on your own. If you were determined to play,
I used to have the guitar in my lap when I was watching television, trying to figure out the theme songs to the television shows, and with the radio and whatever. It just worked out until it finally started to make sense. So I'm still working on it, really.
Yeah,
so when you guys are at home and you want to hear a certain song that's not on the radio at the time, are you more likely to put on a LP, a CD, or a digital source?
I don't have LPs anymore. Gordon still has some, I think, but I don't have a record player anymore. And I have a huge CD collection, as well as an archive of cassette tapes of stuff performances and stuff over the years. So, like everybody else these days, if I'm looking to hear something quickly, I go to Apple Music or YouTube or iTunes or one of those things. But when I'm listening for myself, I usually go grab something out of my collection.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I still use a lot of cassette tapes, and sometimes if I'm listening to radio late at night or something, I have the tape recorder ready, and if I hear something that interests me, I'll tape it, and then go back and listen to it, and maybe try to learn it or rearrange it, whatever, that type of thing, you know.
But back in the day when I was doing a lot of television shows, I would tape the hip parade every Saturday, and the country hip parade, because that cassettes made a big difference.
They do, yeah.
So for a guitar player just starting out, what do you think is the most common mistake they make?
That's a good question. I'd say, not focusing on the theory of music, like just trying to go. A lot of guitar players, when they start off first, are looking for flashy runs and licks and passages and trying to sound like they're guitar heroes, where it's more important to get a really good established basic knowledge of music and what it's all about, what the theory is, what all the chord shapes, and all the different keys and scales and all that stuff. So it's really important to get a really firm basic knowledge before you start trying to get into all the flashy stuff.
Yeah, and I think too, like when people are starting out first, sometimes they try to learn things too fast, and it's a good thing to develop your ear. Like guitars are you have to listen to what the chords sound like and make sure you develop your ear a lot, and so it sounds in tune and sounds professional, and then work on the theory and grab as much stuff you can from everyone, but then try to bring your own originality into it.
Unlike keyboard or piano or keyboard-based instruments, the guitar isn't very logical.
No.
The keyboard goes, up the scale and down the scale. On a guitar, there are so many ways of doing that it really takes a long time to sort it all out.
Right.
Now, how many guitars do you guys own?
I haven't counted them. So I don't know. See, it's a lot. It's a lot. I got a room full, basically, of instruments, not just guitars, but mandolas and banjos and accordion and whatever, whistles.
I find guitars, like, they all sound really different from each other, and I've got a number of guitars. When I play alone, I use a lot of different tunings, so instead of using the one guitar, I have a number of guitars that I keep in, like C tuning or G tuning, whatever. The guitars are tuned to a chord, so when you play them, you get different sounds and harmonies and so on, so they're all quite different. So I probably need at least 4 or 5 guitars to do what I want to do.
Yep.
Now, both of you guys are in a group called Fretboard Journey. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, Fretboard Journey is 4 guitar players, myself and Gordon and Craig Young and Dwayne Andrews. We all have really different styles of music and playing, but we all sort of really meld together pretty well in this group. And it's like, people call it the Guitar Summit, but there's no competition between us.
No. Just having fun, enjoying the music, and trying to blend together, which works out well, because you get a whole different range of sounds. It's like a soundscape with 4 different styles. Yeah.
I've always been interested in guitar ensembles, because you get string quartets like violins and violas and stuff, and you get wind quartets, but I think guitar quartets are a really interesting area to explore.
Yeah.
And we've been doing really well with it. People like it, and we're having fun.
So if you guys could sit down with any group or musician in the world to perform a song with, who would that be and why?
Anybody in the world, eh? Well, how about if they're dead?
Yes, they can be dead.
In the other world.
Well, I would like to sit down with Django Reinhardt, who was the big influence on Dwayne Andrews' music, but Django was a big favorite of mine just because of his spirit and he was a guy that only had 2 fingers. He lost 3 fingers on his hand in an accident or a fire or something. And with only 2 fingers, he plays better than almost any guitar player I've ever heard since.
I'd probably like to sit down with Lenny Breau. I don't think I could play with him.
Oh, there you go, yes. Yeah.
I don't think I could play with him, but just to listen to him talk about his approach to guitar. He was sort of like a genius guitar player way back, and he died too, unfortunately, but he had a real command of the guitar. And there's other guitar players, folk guitar, I would have liked to have listened to, had a session with Red Shea, who played with Gordon Lightfoot. he had a distinctive style, different from Lenny Rose, but it was still a fingerstyle thing. And so many different guitar players you can learn from. Yeah.
I would have liked to have a go with Chet Atkins.
Chet Atkins, yeah, and yeah, he's another great guitar player.
Well, okay, now before you guys go, it's time for the famous NL Now selfie. I'll go get the selfie stick.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, ready?
yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thanks again, guys, for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
And thank you for watching NL Now this evening. And, okay, when you're ready, guys.
And here comes this.